Hi guys, so today we're coming to you from the salon and we're going to give you the 5 top tips on grooming in the lockdown. So tip number 1 is going to be making sure you have the right equipment for your dog breed. I have pretty much everything under the sun as you'd expect from a groomer. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through each breed and, well, not all of them, as in their umbrella category, and take you through what you're most likely to need for that dog. So for your short-haired breeds like your Jack Russells, you're going to want rubber mitts to get around to get along that coat and get out that dead hair, dead coat. So what I have here is the Zoom Groom, and this is just a generic rubber mitt, which is excellent for getting down deep into the coat and bringing up all that dead hair. Alternatively, you can use the shorter side, which has really short teeth, on the short-haired dogs, which I've put in the coat rake or the undercoat rake section because of the other side of it. The make of it is called a Groom It. I picked it up at Paws in the Park one year, I think, but I very rarely use it on my two. It's only really used on short-haired dogs like a Jack Russell, for example. Next up we have the hairless, and the only thing you'd need to do there is, obviously sometimes it has hair on the front, so you'd need to trim that with scissors. These are obviously grooming scissors, but you can pick grooming scissors up on Amazon for 20 quid. So they're not dear at all. All you'd need is either straight ones or curved ones. So totally depends on what you feel like. Obviously I have the whole range here because I need to, and a comb so that you can get through the hair that they do have. This is obviously a greyhound comb. I don't know why they call it a greyhound comb. It has wider teeth on one end and shorter teeth at the other end. A pretty generic comb type, but that would be all you'd need for your hairless. And on top of that, you'd need to be bathing your dog regularly to make sure you're keeping on top of that skin. After that skin properly, then it can come up in warts, in spots. If it's out in the sun too long, then it can burn, so you need to cover it in factor 50. So it's it requires a whole lot of different maintenance from a coated dog. Next up, you've got your double coated breed, which is Coda, or Nix, but Coda happens to be here. Yeah, okay. Can we see you? Yeah, we can see you. That's it. Oh, perfect, stay there. Right. So, for Coda's breed, you can use a good old slicker brush. It's what most owners turn to when they're looking for a brush for a dog. Yes, I know. Get back. So, the slicker brush is great. It'll go straight through the guard hairs and go through to the undercoat and pull up any dead undercoat that needs to come out. Whilst making your dog look silky smooth. And detangling any knots that they may have. On the other side, you have undercoat rakes. Now these obviously look quite menacing, but they're really useful for these types of breed, and for ones with thicker hair, say a Leonberger or German Shepherd. These things are essential for those breeds. It will go straight through the guard hairs, so all these lovely top ones are your guard hairs, and go straight through to the undercoat, which is right next to the skin. So you have to be really careful how you use these. You can't point at it or jab jab your dog with it, you have to go along the coat nicely so that it picks up the coat underneath. I just fluffed that bit up, didn't I? Sorry. But yeah, works a treat. Especially great for the hot weather when it comes to thinning your dog out and keeping him cool in the weather. The undercoat rakes come in various different sizes and types, so you sort of have to judge it based on your dog. Thank you. So a border collie type, I'd be more inclined to get something like those. These are obviously well used, so I do apologise for the wear and tear on them, but something like this. So the tooth length is just long enough to get down to the skin, and you can still see the top of the brush. Same for this one. So depending on the thickness of your dog's coat, you want to have a look at the teeth that you get as well. For thinner coats, you can get away with the thinner type of teeth, the closer type of teeth. Obviously, if your dog's got a really thick kind of coat, your German Shepherd types, then you want to go thicker. Otherwise, you're just going to be tugging on your dog and it's not going to be any kind of comfortable. You want to start your dog off with one of these and see how it goes, and obviously work your dog from a wider toothed down to your medium and then down through to the small one. Matted dogs. So if you've got a matted dog, or you've got a dog with a mat, which is more than likely over the lockdown period, then you're going to want to be able to get that mat out. So there are various things on the market. The one I use the most is probably the mat breaker, or something that looks even worse. But both of these basically have tiny little sharp sections, like little scissors, in the grooves here. So as you're coming through the mat, it will cut through the mat. You're not going to end up tugging on your dog. You're going to end up, as you're combing the dog through, trying to get the mat out, you're slowly cutting your way through the mat. And this is a great way of getting close to the skin, especially behind the ears, things like that. These things are great. Now, on longer sections of your dog, coat can be useful. Longer sections of your dog, like trousers, then these are where this would come in. So it's not tugging on anything, it's slowly combing through any knots he may have. He's not finding any discomfort in this at all, otherwise he would have come round and seen what I was doing. But all it does is, as it goes through, is it cuts through the hair where there might be a tangle. And obviously this is one of the most prominent places for getting tangles. Okay, so the most common places you're going to find a knot or a mat is behind these fluffy ears, down in the feathers, up underneath the feathers, in the armpit, in the trousers, in your tail. So those are your three, tail, feathers, trousers, tail, feathers, trousers, ears and armpits. So 5 most prominent places that your dog's likely to get nuts or mats are what I would like to call friction zones, movement zones. It's where your dog has the most movement, so it's most likely to cause rubbing of the hair, and that is what causes your mat. So after your dog's walk, you want to come back and brush out those areas if they're prone to those type of situations. Another two types of dog coats, the wool, which would encompass your doodles, your cockapoos, your sheepoos, your anything that a poodle has been crossed with. Those I would recommend making sure that you are brushing with your slicker brush either every other day, daily, depends how active your dog is, but most poodle crosses tend to be quite active. I would also be on the legs, going through with your greyhound comb, getting out any of those knots on those friction zones, going through ears, right down, right to the base and bringing it forward, through the tail, making sure you can get this bad boy through everything. Then you have your silk coats, which is things like your Afghan, your really long hairs, which aren't that common, but again is going to be greyhound comb, making sure you can get through all of it, and it's going to be a big wide toothed undercoat rake to get through knots. Obviously use the small mat breaker if you need to, if you've only got the couple of knots that you need to get out. Other than that, it's just simply keeping on top of your dog. So the last thing we come on to is nails or feet. Now I know a lot of people are worried about doing feet at home or nails at home, and I can completely understand. When we train on doing nails, I mean, you make the odd mistake, you cut a dog's claw and it worries you how much blood comes out of a dog's claw. But that is literally only because they are standing on them all day, so gravity is literally flowing that direction. So if you cut a dog's claw, or if you're planning on it, just make sure you have a couple of things to one side, just in case. The first being good old-fashioned all-purpose flour that you will find in your kitchen, probably. Flour is a binding agent, is a binding agent, and acts as a coagulant. So as soon as you put it on the dog's nail that's bleeding, the blood starts to stick to the flour and starts to thicken around the flour that you've put on, causing a barrier against that, causing a barrier at the end of the nail so that it stops bleeding. So flour is an excellent thing to have around. Again, there are a few different options that you can choose from on the market. This is a obviously mains powered file grinder. You turn it on, put your dog's nail up against that bit of sander there, and it takes off as much as you need to as you press up against it. Now, if you're not keen on using clippers, I would use one of these because this is a lot safer. And again, that thing can be picked up from Amazon. Very easy to pick up. If you happen to need to use these, want to use these, know how to use these, they're not actually that hard to learn. It's more confidence with it and making sure your dog stays still. Right, nails. So, I will show you what you take off and what you don't. So, luckily coders are all white nails, so you can easily see where the quick is. That's that pink bit there. That's the bit you do not want to cut. So I can literally only take a sliver off of the end of these. You should be able to see very clearly where the pink is and where the white is. And the white is what I can take off. Good boy. Pink bit stays, and the white bit goes. Okay, last bit before we sign off is tidying up your dog's paws. Obviously you've been a few weeks now without going to the groomers, so your dog's paws are probably going to be looking a little bit on the fluffy side. So I'm just going to teach you a little quick way that you can tidy them up, keep them tidy. And all you're going to need is some scissors and a dog. That was completely incorrect. You're going to need scissors and a slicker brush or comb, depending on what you have at home. You want to back comb your dog's fur at its feet. So I'll just show you. Thank you. You're going to back comb and then using your scissors, and then all of this that is sitting on top comes off. Steady, as I'll take off more than is needed. So I'm holding underneath the dog's foot. My hand is behind his big main pad, and I've got fingers in between all of his toes. Good. So if you want to get all of this hair out of here, then you push on the back, you push your finger on the back of it to open it up. Then you use that scissor very carefully to take out any excess fluff. Then you do exactly the same on the next toe. Making sure your dog gets nowhere near the scissors. And then on the last toe. So you only have to do it 3 times. Okay. And this one. Then you can go along each of these, taking out as much hair as you can. Stay still. Good, so you've got nice tidy paws. Now, I've kept on top of my too, so obviously that wasn't a dire situation. But hopefully you get the gist from that, of what you need to do. Brush up, chop what's on top down to the level of where the foot should be, and go round the pads at the bottom. Use your fingers to spread the toes if you want to go in between, if you feel you're good enough. But obviously do not do this if your dog's jerking his foot away, end up hurting your dog. Try not to do anything your dog does not want to do. Otherwise there will be a vet visit, and obviously most of them aren't open at the moment. The only thing I can think of for the home is getting a pair of rechargeable clippers. I think these are about 30 quid. These are really handy. Battery lasts ages, and they have a whole range of size options, and they even come with a whole set of clip-on guards for the top so that you can go even longer. So in terms of keeping your dog whilst all of this is going on, 30 quid's not bad to spend on a pair of clippers, which will keep your dog in check. And yeah, I did mention that you can get a whole set of grooming scissors for 20 quid. So all in all, 50 quid for a grooming set is probably all you'd need to spend, and depending on the size of your dog, it's probably how much you'd end up spending on one trip to the groomers anyway. So yeah, we have covered all the dog breed coat types and what you would need for each of those breed types, how to do nails and tidy feet,
and what to use on mats. Yes, obviously if you have a pair of these clippers at home, then it's great for getting out those little knots, little mats behind the ears or wherever they crop up, tidying out feet. Makes your job that much easier if you have a pair of these at home. So that is all I can think of for now. I will leave you to it. If you have any other questions, then leave me a comment below and I will get back to you. Alright, I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.
Just hoovered. Oh, don't you foof at me, cheeky sod.